I would like to ask our distinguished guests for just a moment of attention before we start with our program. Journalists, I would like to ask you do not pass in front of the camera because we are recording the sessions. Ladies and gentlemen, Your Excellence, honored guests, and dear members of the Ministry. Today we will present the European Economic Area and the Kingdom of Norway Financial Mechanism 2014-2021 in Croatia.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the launching ceremony of the European Economic Area and the Kingdom of Norway Financial Mechanisms for 2014 and 2021 in Croatia. Allow me to welcome the guests. Dopustite mi da pozdravim naše uzvanike.
We will now present our guests. From the Ministry of Regional Development and EU Funds, Šime Erlić, State Secretary.
The Deputy Head of Mission from the Embassy of Iceland, welcome Mr. August Mar Augustsson.
From the Ministry of Foreign and European Affairs, Mr. Zdenko Lucic, welcome.
The Director of Section for Central Europe and the European Economic Area and Norway Grants from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of the Kingdom of Norway, Mr. Jon Erik Stromo, the Director. His Excellency Håkon Blankenborg, the Ambassador of the Kingdom of Norway to the Republic of Croatia. Welcome.
And from the Ministry of Justice and Public Administration, Mr. Ivan Malenica.
Dame I gospodo,
Ladies and gentlemen, the conference is organized in cooperation with the Ministry of Regional Development and EU Affairs and the Embassy of the Kingdom of Norway in the Republic of Croatia. They enabled us today to meet in Split on this wonderful warm weather. Financial mechanisms of the European Economic Area and the Kingdom of Norway for the period 2014-2021 are a topic today of our conference. We will present projects and programs with the topic of local development and poverty reduction, energy and climate change, and the progress in implementing basic programs on the financial mechanism, innovation and research, education, competition, social dialogue, civil society, justice and internal affairs. The aim of the financial mechanism is to contribute to reduction of poverty, social and economic inequalities in Europe, and to strengthen bilateral cooperation between the donor countries, Kingdom of Norway, Iceland and Liechtenstein, and the Republic of Croatia as the beneficiary country. I would kindly ask you to have our officials and donors to join us for a joint photo.
Hvala vam lijepa. Thank you so much. Svakako ćemo se još jednom poslikati kako
We will most certainly take another photo to record this moment. We will do it after lunch around 2 o'clock. And I will kindly ask you to go out and use the sunshine for a lovely joint photo.
Sada pređemo na pozdravne govore. Prvi je naravno naš domaćin.
Our first speech will be given by our host, Šime Erlić, State Secretary from the Ministry of Regional Development and EU Funds.
Dobar dan svima. Evo ja vas na početku.
Hello everybody. In the beginning, I must say that I am very happy that in spite of the pandemic situation, which we don't see the end of, that we are still able to gather here today in Split and that we are not only online. I'm extremely happy for that. Dear distinguished guests, dear partners, Mr. Ambassador and Deputy Head of Mission, Director of the Section for Central Europe and the EEA, State Secretary Lucic, dear Minister Malenica. It is my great pleasure to greet you today on this launching ceremony of the European Economic Area and the Kingdom of Norway financial mechanism here in Croatia. The mechanism which really connected Croatia with the donor countries, Kingdom of Norway, Iceland, Liechtenstein, and we are building together bilateral relations through exchange of experience and good practices, thus contributing to the development of the Republic of Croatia in a number of priority areas of our common interests. We have jointly defined priority investment areas and the programs which are important for Croatia and which we'll talk about today. Through the programs financed through this financial mechanism is the system of education, innovation, research and development, judicial system, sustainable development, fight against climate change, promoting of social dialogue and investment into civil society. These are very popular programs which attracted the attention of a number of beneficiaries which applied for these calls for proposals which were published until now and which open a number of new opportunities for investment in Croatia through the European funding, but also through the Norwegian financial mechanism, we get another dimension, because we open into areas which are both interest of the donor countries and the Republic of Croatia. And this is certainly an added value. About the importance of the financial mechanism, it is proven by the great popularity of the call for proposals and the number of projects that have been applied, meaning that we will reap great benefits from the program. Some of these concrete results of the programs will be presented today. We can see the building of the municipal court building here in Split, which is financed in the judicial part of the program. And there are a number of attractive areas, for example, investment into STEM classrooms in elementary schools, which is very important, especially in those parts of Croatia which are underdeveloped. From this mechanism, we enabled them to supply equipment and to educate the teachers and to allow the children to really be educated in this very important STEM area. Another important part is the climate change program. which will allow investment into renewable energy sources, solar energy, geothermal energy, and marine energy. And we will hear about one very important project, which is the establishment of the National Training Center for Nearly Zero Energy Buildings. Very valuable programs. They are not the only ones that we will hear about today. And we will also hear about investment into the most vulnerable part of our population, which is the children with disabilities, and we will hear about investing into special education centers. I mentioned judicial system, I mentioned innovation center, investment into small and medium enterprises, green development and blue growth, and also investment into civil society. So there is a whole range of possibilities for investment, and in cooperation with our donors and our partners. All of these are priority areas in which Croatia wants to reach progress. And I have to note that through these financial instruments, we have available 150 million kuna to be spent until 2024. We will hear more about this from our colleague professionals, officials from the ministry, who will present specifics of the program. And I think it's very important that the wider public that we inform the wider public of the overview of the benefits of this financial interest. I would like to give my special thanks to our donor partners with whom we connected and reached excellent cooperation and enabled that our local community and enterprises connect with the partners from Norway, Iceland, and Liechtenstein to learn from each other and to transfer the knowledge and technology from the more developed to the least developed part, to the less developed parts of Europe. And I think that we will really see actual results toward the end of implementation of this financial instrument. I believe that at that time, in a couple of years, we will have the opportunity to give presentation of the individual project results. Please allow me to thank all the people, all the staff who worked on the preparation of this program. Really staff of our ministry, primarily, and the partner organizations from the donor countries, the Office for Financial Mechanisms, Innovation Norway, and our local program partners who allow the implementation of the programs, Institute Hrvoje Požar, Carnet, and the Consortium of Civil Society Organizations. I think I didn't forget anyone. You did a great job so that can be here today and to be able to reach as many possible of final beneficiaries. I would like to thank everybody, and I wish you successful implementation of these programs and projects. And I am looking forward to future meetings in which we will see how the financial mechanisms actually improve the life in Croatia. Thank you.
Zahvaljujem gospodinu Šimerliću na ohrabrujućim
for very encouraging words and for having comprised really all the topics we are going to deal with today.
From the Embassy of Iceland is our next speaker. Welcome to the stage. Dame I gospodo, zamjenik veleposlanika Republike Island, gospodin August Mar Augustsson.
Thank you so much, Ms. Tessin, for the introduction. And thank you so much also Minister Malincha and State Secretary Ellis for the wonderful hospitality and hosting us here in Split. You will forgive my attempt, but hvala na kostru primstvo. If you'll allow me for a short introduction, I'm August Maur Augustsson, Deputy Head of Mission at the Embassy of Iceland in Berlin. Thank you. I recently arrived there in August to take on the portfolio also of the EEA financial mechanism for the Republic of Croatia. And I must say, I arrived here yesterday and I was very pleased to come to lovely Split from Berlin, where the autumn is slowly but very surely arriving. And I wish we could have this launching ceremony a bit longer, preferably for a whole week. And it has been challenging 18 months, to say the least. We've been dealing with issues that we didn't think we would have to deal with in our lifetimes. We've had the pandemic, we've had earthquakes. In Iceland, we've even had a small volcano eruption close to our main airport. But through dedication and innovation, also in digitalization and mobility and how and where we do our work, we've really seen positive results in terms of the current financial periods and the financial mechanism. So for that, I would wish to, in that lens, congratulate the National Focal Point, FMO, and others who contributed to us being able to be here today. It is my first visit to a partner country, and I'm so pleased that it's such a positive one. Now, attending the launching event, I'm very much now looking forward to seeing the timely, efficient, and effective distribution of the funds towards important projects. And if I may just briefly touch upon some of the priority issues for us, and where we and the Embassy of Iceland and I may be able to build bridges. You're always welcome and feel free to contact us. We'll be very happy to establish contacts with Icelandic partners on issues related to energy, sustainability, climate, social issues, and particularly gender equality, where we have considerable experience. The financial mechanism is a wonderful tool, not only for development of lesser developed regions in Croatia, but also to strengthen our bilateral ties between our countries. And I'm very happy to see how many partnerships have evolved from grassroots to larger entities and state entities between our countries. And with that, I will not take up more of your time, but very much look forward to the presentation of the program operators later on during the day. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Augustsson. Our next speaker comes from Norway, from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of the Kingdom of Norway. He is the Director of the Section for Central Europe and the European Economic Area and Norway Grants. Mr. Jon Erik Stromo, the Director.
Distinguished Minister, ladies and gentlemen, I'm very much honored to be here today, taking part in the launching ceremony of the EEA and the Norway Financial Mechanism in Croatia. A total of almost approximately 100 million euro is available to the Republic of Croatia for this period. And it's an excellent contribution to the reduction of economic and social disparities, and an excellent opportunity to strengthen the bilateral relationship between Croatia and the donor countries, Iceland, Liechtenstein, and Norway. With the launch today, we mark that we have reached a milestone by having finalized program agreements based on our joint priorities. The next steps would be to focus on a thorough implementation in order to ensure the maximum utilization of the funds. I would like to assure you all that Norway will do the utmost to ensure that the available funds are systematically and well spent within the joint agreement. Now I look forward to learn more about the current activities, the different programs, and I would also like to take the opportunity to thank everyone involved in making this happen, to make sure that the financial mechanism will be as good as possible. So I thank you.
Thank you for encouraging words. We hope as well that it will be fast and very successful. Our next speaker comes from the Ministry of Foreign and European Affairs. Oprostite, vraćam se na hrvatski. Gospodin državni tajnik u Ministarstvu vanjskih poslova.
Our next speaker is Zdenko Lucic, State Secretary from the Ministry of Foreign and European Affairs.
Oprostite, pa niste dobili aplausom.
And of course, joint hands for the State Secretary. I would like to welcome you on behalf of the Ministry of Foreign and European Affairs.
Minister Malenica, State Secretary Ehrlich, dear Ambassador Blankenburg, Deputy Ambassador Augustsson, Director Stromo, representatives of the donor states, distinguished guests, dear ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of the Ministry of Foreign and European Affairs, I would like to thank the organizers of this conference on providing this platform to present the European Economic Area and Norwegian Financial Mechanisms 2014-2021 in the Republic of Croatia. Croatia is a country which is advocating more cohesion in the European Union, is especially aware of the importance of European Economic Area and Norway financial mechanisms' contribution to the reduction of social and economic disparities in Europe. Croatia attaches due importance to the implementation of the said mechanisms and is glad to highlight their contribution to positive developments in bilateral relations and to socioeconomic development of Croatia. It was of a great importance to work with our partners and identify crucial areas and specific needs so that available funds will be used in an optimal way. Let me emphasize that we are glad that progress in cooperation has been achieved in spite of the difficulties caused by the pandemic, and that after a series of earthquakes, some of the areas of cooperation have unexpectedly come to the foreground, like the one related to raising the seismic security. After the successful implementation of financial mechanisms in the previous perspective and this one, we are now looking forward to continue our cooperation, which will, while respecting the specifics of Croatia, contribute to common goals and to a greener, more competitive and stable Europe. I wish you all a successful conference. Thank you.
Hvala vam lijepa na željama za uspješnom konferencijom.
Thank you very much for the wishes for a successful conference.
Njegova ekscelencija, izvanredni opunomoćeni veleposlanik Kraljevine Norveške.
And now we will hear about from the gospodina Hakona Blakenburga, Mr. Ambassador of the Kingdom of Norway in the Republic of Croatia.
I'm also very pleased to have the opportunity to come to Split once again. And all you patriots from Zadar, Žibenik, Dubrovnik and elsewhere, Split is maybe the most well-known city in Croatia among Norwegians. And with this launch, we in a way show that our two countries, or 4 countries, if we include all our partners in the EEA grants, we share the same goals and values. And as it said, when you raise up, down on the bottom here, it's the common goals, whether it's in the European Union or it's in the European economic area. So we share the same challenges, we share the same goals, but our countries have somewhat different points of departure how to achieve our goals. The goals, we have to become more competitive, we have to become greener. This requires a more educated population, and we need more competent
i trebamo kompetentnije stanovništvo, a isto tako, dakle, u raznim regijama, pogotovo u ranjivim skupinama, odnosno barem u ranjivim skupinama, mi dijelimo ambiciju jedne kvalitetnije i bolje kohezije u inkluzivnim društvima. Potrebna nam je različitost, dakle, prava kralježnica liberalne demokracije. Aktivnije građanstvo, to je preduvjet za različitost društva, za raznolikosti u društvu, pa promicanjem kohezije na način da se vrednuje različitost, to je jedan od ciljeva. I naravno vladavina prava i naravno, dakle, kvaliteta pravosuđa isto tako je, dakle, okosnica svega. Dakle, evropski gospodarski prostor i norveški grantovi se fokusiraju upravo na to, kao i većina programa u EU. Naše zemlje dijele iste ove ciljeve, iste ove ambicije. Stoga je ono što mi pokušamo se, dakle, pozabaviti čime zajedno sa partnerima u sklopu norveških grantova i Europskog gospodarskog prostora. Dodatan bonus je u tome da s ovim grantovima povezujemo naše zemlje zajednički, ne samo zbog toga što je to lijepo, što je to simpatično, već zato što znamo da ne možemo postići ove ciljeve ukoliko smo izolirani. Moramo to raditi zajedno kako bismo podijelili znanje, kako bismo podijelili kompetencije, vještine i upravo je to ambicija onoga što radimo. Želim vam svima i nama isto tako puno sreće i puno uspjeha u provedbi programa. Hvala vam. Hvala, Vaša ekscelencija.
Kao što je rekla njegova
As already said by His Excellency, Together for Green, Competitive and Inclusive Europe, something about it and about the financial aspect of this great project, we are going to listen about our Minister of Justice and Administration, Mr. Ivan Malenica, the Croatian Minister. Distinguished Ambassador of the Kingdom of Sweden, Mr. Blankeborg, the First Secretary and the Deputy Head of Mission, Mr. Augustsson, and distinguished Mr. Strom, distinguished friends and colleagues, Erlich and Lutic, I am particularly pleased to welcome you all here at the launching conference of the financial mechanism of the European Economic Area in the Kingdom of Norway for the period 2014-2021 in Croatia. These mechanisms definitively contribute to the reduction of the social and business disparities in Europe and to the strengthening of the bilateral relationships and the cooperation between our countries. The cooperation of the Ministry of Justice and Administration and the financial mechanism has started already in 2009, and already for 12 years it has been in course, and we do really hope it is going to continue in the further financial perspectives. In the previous period, 2009-2014, Croatia has been made eligible 9.6 million euro. Thanks to these funds, Ministry of Justice has realized the project of the improvement of quality and efficiency of the judiciary system through the development of infrastructure and better management. The value of the project was 3.8 million euro, through which we have renewed and reconstructed the building of the court in Karlovac and improved the way in which are resolved the cases at the Croatian courts. The current financial perspective is going to enable us totally 3.4 million euro for the realization of the numerous development projects. 13 million euro is already enabled for the investment in justice. In judiciary, these funds we are going to use for the infrastructural investments, for the improvement of the electronic services, increase of competencies of the judges, and to provide better conditions for the work of the judges and strengthening of the protection of human rights and public safety. The reconstruction of the building of the civil court in Split is the major project of this current financial perspective, which is 9.2 million euro. The importance of this project is not only new premises, but in the higher quality of the work conditions, faster acceleration of the procedures and available services and protection of the citizens, and particularly to the most vulnerable groups in the society. Modern justice, modern judiciary system cannot be imagined without high-quality, safe electronic services. That's why in digitalization of services in the judiciary in the previous period has been invested 140 million kunas. It was updated the system for e-file management through the e-communication system at the commercial, at the county and civil courts has been enabled the faster and simpler communication with the parties. Improvement of the existing e-services still remains really a must for the ministry, and that's why the recommendations for the improvement, but also the analysis of the use of the services which we are going to get thanks to the implementation of this project substantially are going to help us to respond with the higher quality to all the needs of the citizens and the judges as well, and to raise the awareness on the benefit of these services. Recently, in the public area has been discussed a lot about the evaluation of the work of the judges. We are going to take it in consideration also through the project of the financial mechanism of the Kingdom of Norway. The analysis and the evaluation of the work of the judges shall contribute to revising the methodology and to just adopt the benchmarks which are definitely going to improve the quality of the work of the judges. The efficiency of the judges is also related to the further education and the strengthening of the skills of the officials in the judiciary system. Here, in cooperation with the Council of Europe, we are going to provide the possibility for the Croatian judges to have 3 seconding at the European Court for Human Rights in Strasbourg in duration of 12 months. The seconding to the judges will enable to acquire the experiences of working on the files of the European Court for Human Rights, but definitely also in strengthening their competencies generally. The rule of law is one of the fundamental principles of the democratic societies, which is inevitable not only in order to protect the human rights, but also for the public safety. Croatian probation service this year features 10th anniversary, and we can really emphasize that already after 10 years it has been recognized at the international scene as well. Due to this reason, it is so important the project strengthening of the protection of human rights and public safety through improvement of the capacities of the probation service, which we are implementing through the Norwegian financial mechanism, and it is going to enable us so that the officials within the probation offices obtain higher quality in providing their very demanding service and to be ready to respond to all the challenges which are ahead of them. Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished partners, financial mechanism of European Economic Area and of the Kingdom of Norway provides to the Ministry of Justice and Administration systematic support in the implementation of the important changes in the judiciary system and in the strengthening of the legal safety. The challenges we are facing are efficiency of the work of the judges, development of e-services, and strengthening of the premises of the infrastructural capacities is something which in the long run we develop through European and Norwegian financial mechanism, and I believe we are going to continue it in the next perspective as well. Thanks to the Norwegian financial mechanism, Croatian justice is going to be more efficient, more modern and more accessible. Thanks a lot.
Hvala vam lijepa, gospodin Malenica. Pogledajte sada zajedno s nama promotivni video koji će nam i vizualno približiti kako izgledaju financijski mehanizmi za razdoblje o kojem je danas riječ.
Croatia, as a member state of the European Union, has an access to funds from the financial mechanisms of the European Economic Area and the Kingdom of Norway, established by donor countries to reduce social and economic inequalities in Europe and strengthen bilateral cooperation with beneficiary countries. During the period from 2014 to 2021, the Republic of Croatia has more than 113 million euros available through financial mechanisms, Croatian Ministry of Regional Development and European Union funds, as the national focal point, is responsible for the coordination and implementation of financial mechanisms. In addition, Ministry also acts as a program operator for 2 separate programs. With the available funds, 6 programs are financed. Additionally, funds from the bilateral fund are available for activities that strengthen the bilateral relations of the beneficiary and donor countries. Of these, first, the Local Development and Poverty Reduction Program is aimed at strengthening primary education with an emphasis on STEM, information and communication technologies, entrepreneurship, inclusive education and active citizenship through activities that include improving the competencies of pupils, teachers and educators, and strengthening support for equal opportunities of primary school children and the acquisition of competencies for their easier employment in the future. Next, the Energy and Climate Change Program is aimed at increasing the use of energy technologies with lower carbon emissions and increased security of energy supply in Croatia. Special attention is paid to energy efficiency measures and support for the use of renewable energy sources, including geothermal, sea and solar energy. Following, Justice and Home Affairs Program aims to strengthen the rule of law. This program will improve the practices of mediation and probation, promoting of e-services, court infrastructure, and will improve additional education of judges and court staff, with the aim of increasing the efficiency and creating adequate conditions for the work and functioning of the courts. Fourth, the Innovation, Research, Education and Competitiveness Program covers the area of business development and innovation for small and medium-sized enterprises. The program will strengthen cooperation between Croatian and Norwegian SMS, universities and centers for development and research, with the aim of exchanging of knowledge and best practices. Areas of investment include sustainable growth and innovation in green economy, coastal and maritime sector. Fifth, the Civil Society Program focuses on active citizenship and vulnerable groups and is based on the shared values of respect for human rights and dignity, freedom, democracy, equality and the rule of law. Finally, the Social Dialogue Program aims to strengthen social dialogue, decent work practices and facilitate access to employment. The program also establishes long-term bilateral cooperation between tripartite stakeholders from Croatia and Norway. More detailed information on financial mechanisms and programs can be found at www.eeagrants.hr.
Vjerujem da je ovaj video, ovaj spot zaista zaslužio aplauz jer je toliko slikovito sve prikazano da mislim da je sada apsolutno svima kristalno jasno o čemu se radi, čak i meni.
In a very clear and direct way it presents the benefits of the financial mechanism. This conference can also be followed live through YouTube channel, and I would like to say hello to all our viewers behind computer screens. Let's start with the official part of the program. First, we will have a presentation by Mr. Luka Kevešević from the Sector for EU Programs and International Financial Mechanisms from the Ministry of Regional Development and EU Funds. Thank you very much.
Hvala. Jel se čujemo? Poštovane dame, poštovana gospodo.
Dear ladies and gentlemen, I would like to greet you today on behalf of the Sector for EU Programs. My name is Luka Kevešević, and today I will present you a part of the program which is managed or operated by our ministry. The ministry has the role of the national focal point and the operator of the program. So please, can we start with the first slide? Thank you. The program that we will be talking about today contributes to the aims or objectives of the EU grant, working on reduction of social and economic inequalities in Europe and the strengthening of bilateral cooperation between donor countries and beneficiary countries. Beneficiary country, in this case, is the Republic of Croatia. Available funding for this program were at first 32.3 million euros, but we also expect some additional investment from the reserve. I think we will reach 36 million euro, out of which 85 is funded by EEA and Norwegian financial mechanisms, and 15 from the state budget of the Republic of Croatia. What I have to note at the very beginning are the 4 priority areas of the program. The first one is STEM, then ICT. The third one is entrepreneurship, and the fourth one is active citizenship. These are the 4 priorities of the program, and we will basically contribute to these priority areas. We also have additional horizontal priority areas, and these are inclusive education and bilateral cooperation. When we talk about inclusive education, we are primarily focused on students with special educational needs. These are potentially gifted students and the students with disabilities which are included in the programs. Bilateral cooperation is cooperation with a partner from the donor country through the exchange of knowledge and experience and study visits. In what way will we evaluate the results of the program and how we are going to achieve them? We hope that we will improve the skills and competences of teachers and other educational staff in the primary educational system through the investment of 1.26 million euro. We hope to enhance STEM skills of the primary education through the investment of 22.27 million euro. Also, we will support the realization of equal opportunities for the students with disabilities, 3.53 million euro, and strengthening capacities for strategic planning on national and local level through the investment of 1.08 million euro. And from the reserve fund, investigate seismic vulnerability of the territorial areas of the Republic of Croatia and seismic movement for the investment of 1.79 million euro. Some success performance indicators of the program is refurbishing and equipping STEM classrooms in elementary schools. We will promote professional training of teachers and teaching staff and also educate students in primary school to work on the latest technology which will be supplied through the project, focused on development of less developed regions, and we will most activities will be implemented in these less developed regions, and they will have more points in the procedure of evaluating the project eligibility. And finally, one indicator of success of the program is the exchange of practice and knowledge between the donor states and the Republic of Croatia. I would like to show some specific indicators in terms of numbers. More than 20 equipped classrooms and STEM classrooms, more than 50 schools and other educational institutions with improved extracurricular and after-school activities related to STEM areas, improved STEM skills of teachers and other educational staff in primary school in at least 70% of the cases, and improved STEM skills in students in primary schools in at least 50% of the cases. And another indicator is to establish bilateral cooperation in more than 30 projects. We are especially proud that we are implementing innovative things in the educational system in Croatia through the establishment of a 4-regional scientific center for STEM in the primary education system, which will include at least 2,000 students into different STEM programs. And we hope to, at the end of the project, to have developed more than 30 teaching materials in the areas of STEM, ICT, entrepreneurship, and active citizenship. We will educate more than 100 teachers for the use of new learning models and the teaching methods and strategies, and have at least 300 teachers participating in the development and testing of different learning models and practical work in priority areas. And also to develop and implement a large number of educational programs in direct teaching in primary schools. This slide is related to one project which will be presented by the colleagues from Carnet. This is a very valuable project, purchasing of auxiliary digital technology, through which we will equip 35 special education centers to achieve higher inclusion of vulnerable groups into society and to allow them to acquire digital skills which will be necessary for their future employment. And another very important benefit is public awareness raising about the importance of inclusive education of children with disabilities. Improved strategic planning and strengthening of management capacities for implementation of National Development Strategy 2030 and strengthening capacity of regional and local level of government are more of the success indicators of the program. One part which is funded from reserve funds is purchase of 23 seismographs and 1 field vehicle. In cooperation with the Faculty of Science in Zagreb, we will establish research cooperation with the Kingdom of Norway, strengthening resilience of Croatian society to the influence of destructive earthquakes and the development of public politics for the reduction of seismic risks by applying scientific infrastructure. How are we going to achieve the numbers that I have been talking about? Through 2 calls for proposals. The first one is improvement of skills and competencies of teachers and other educational staff in primary education system. The second one is strengthening STEM skills in primary schools and the development of regional scientific centers for primary education. So, in addition to 2 calls for proposal, we have 3 predefined projects. Carnet project, which will be presented after my presentation, and the Ministry of Regional Development and EU funds, and the third project, which will be operated by the Faculty of Science in Zagreb. In numbers, the call value is as follows. The first call for proposal was published in spring, and we have received a large number of proposals. As you can see from the slide, we received 55 project proposals, and the required amounts are 7 times higher than we have available funds. And through 29 project proposals, propose the establishment of partner cooperation from the organization from donor countries. As far as second call for proposal is concerned, the value of the call is 22.27 million euro. We received 116 project proposals, and the requested amounts are 5 times higher than the available funds that we have in the mechanism. And in 83 project proposals, we have including the establishment of partner cooperation with organizations from donor countries, and this is the best indicator how popular and how necessary these projects are. In the first quarter of 2022, we are expecting the signing of first agreement. I would like to also emphasize the program of bilateral cooperation. We have 100,000 euros, which will be used to finance the strengthening of bilateral cooperation, which will be probably limited call for proposal, and the funds will be available from 2022 to 2025. And it is possible to build upon this project and extend them to entrepreneurship and active citizenship. So we will probably have also the beneficiary educational system extended, not only from primary schools, but also include secondary schools and higher education institutions. So what we have done so far, we published 2 calls for proposals of projects. We have 1 predefined project which is implemented and 2 which are at the end of the final phase. We had a matchmaking event. We held informational workshops, Q&A, and promotional materials. I would like to note an excellent cooperation which we had during the matchmaking event. In May, we organized a virtual event with over 120 interested participants from Croatia, Iceland, and Norway. And the purpose was to connect the organization and create project partnerships with the purpose of devising and designing project proposals for open calls. We had informational workshop. Over 170 interested participants, and the videos were shown over 1,500 times. And I think the purpose of the workshops is to prepare the potential eligible appliers how to prepare their project proposals. And the Q&A cycle, during which we answered more than 300 questions from potential appliers in regard concerning the possibilities of financing. What comes next in the next period, starting from this launching ceremony, is the implementation of predefined project to sign the grant contract, which will be, of course, promoted in online media. We will implement a workshop for successful beneficiaries and the first payments of first advance payment and start of implementation of the contracted projects. And in the next period, we expect an additional funds in the amount of 100,000 euros for financing activities to strengthen bilateral cooperation and the implementation of bilateral fund through small grants. And I would like to give the floor to colleagues from Carnet. Thank you.
Thanks a lot for this introductory lecture. The colleague from Carnet is already ahead of us, Renata Šimunko. Applause, please. And Mrs. Šimunko is also going to present us the the project that is just creating equal opportunities in education for pupils with disabilities. The name of the program is ATTEND, the acronym. Good morning, everybody. I'm Renata Šimunka, and I'm the official of the Croatian Academic and Research Network, CARNET. Very short, I'm going just to provide you the details of the program ATTEND. That is the acronym of Assistive Technologies and Education, and that is the short title of the project which we have invented in order not to use this long one in a daily communication. ATTEND is a predefined project within the program Local Development and Poverty Reduction. It is going to last somewhat less than 3 years. Already for long we had been working in its preparation, but officially it started by signing the agreement on the 1st July this year, and it is going to last until the end of April 2024. The value of the project is somewhat more than 3.5 million euro. 3 million, practically 85%, is funded by the financial mechanism of the European Economic Area, and 15% is national co-funding by Republic of Croatia. For many years, with its CARNET, with its years, just aims to the strengthening of the community and promotion of innovations. That's why we have a lot of the projects and services by which we motivate and encourage the use of technology in education. I believe you know the project eSchools, which is intended for the strengthening of capacities of the Croatian primary and high schools. The program eSchools, by its already from 2015, the CARNET provides to the Croatian schools the network infrastructure, computer technology, hardware, develops a lot of services for the lecturing and for the business processes, and implements a lot of the educations for the school officials. We are really lobbying for the use of technology and their benefit in the education of the children. I would dare to say that it can be particularly useful when we speak about the education of kids with special educational needs, and not only in the education. In some difficulties, it can even be the key difference or in the communication itself. These are so-called assistive technology, which is the Croatian title. Official is the assistive technology. It necessarily doesn't need to be in digital form, but in our project, this is the assisted digital technology. It comes in different formats, and there's the software, as the hardware, and these can be just the pieces of the usual computer equipment, like the screens, mouses, everything which is adapted for the people with disabilities. But since it is somewhat a different equipment, like switches and different type of communicators, keyboards which enable the communication but just the eyesight, and a lot of different pieces of the equipment which also helps to the persons with the eye impairment, sight impairment. All these technologies can facilitate and improve the education of the kids with the difficulties, and by the shorter research which we have made, the educators already use this technology in their work as much as it is made available, and they consider that it significantly or fully can improve the results of the education of these children. As well, it has been shown that the need for this equipment is much higher from the available items. That's why in CARNET we have decided to make the project in which we are going to equip the educational institutions with this assistive digital technology. From the former experiences, we already know that it is not sufficient only to furnish and equip the institutions. We cannot simply just deliver the equipment and expect the schools immediately to use it at the optimum manner. That's why, as equally important in the project, which have included also the educational activities where we are going to educate the educators for the use of this technology. The process has been quite long, the process of planning, but we have really learned so much in it and prepared. We have started with the small research, which I have already mentioned, where we got the initial data, or the starting point about the number of the kids with difficulties, about the status and situation of the educational institutions dealing with it, and based on that, we have started to plan the project. We have known that CARNET has no just professional and expert knowledge regarding the persons with disabilities. So the natural step was to involve all those stakeholders who really know our Croatian partners, are really the win-win situation, because they already have the former joint experience in similar projects, and they have the expertise which is required. We an involved education rehabilitation faculty, which deals with the education of the experts for the work with the kids with disabilities. Our next Croatian partner is the Faculty of Electrical Engineering and Computer Engineering with a lab for assistive technologies and assisted communication, which means that they combine technology and issues of the persons with disabilities. We didn't want to remain only within the borders of Croatia. We wanted to get the experience and knowledge from a foreign partner who has gone much more advanced than us, who can teach us and inspire us. That's why we have included the city of Reykjavik, their Department for Education and for Youth. They are the major provider of the education on the Iceland, and inter alia, they have centralized work of the experts who are the support to the school officials and to the school staff in educating the children with difficulties. One such school, which is dealing only and solely with the children with disabilities, is going to be included in all our activities. And exactly today, the partners from Iceland are coming to Zagreb, and the next few days we are going to have the first workshops and the meetings in person. In the school year 2019-2020 in Croatia, out of 400,000 inhabitants, 30,000 were with difficulties. The major part of them is included in the regular education system, but all the kids with, let's say, the harder, serious problem of disability cannot attend regular schooling. They attend special schools. These are so-called centers for education. They are dealing solely with the education of the children with difficulties, and that is the excellent system of education. In the project, we have decided to involve the institutions for two criteria. The first is that they are dealing with the kids which are not integrated into the regular system. They are fully outside of the system, and those institutions which are performing the educational process and not only the rehabilitation. Besides the institutions, the participants of the project partners, the end users, beneficiaries are going to be the school staff in these institutions, and the most important, the children or the pupils, better to say. From the Ministry of Science and Education, we have received a specification of 35 such institutions in Croatia. We addressed all of them. We asked them to participate, to join us in the project, and not only to them, but also to their founding members. The founding members just support them organizationally and financially, and that's why the consent of the founders is so important. It is the precondition for the participation of the centers in the project. These are mostly the cities. We have 2 counties and 1 ministry as the founders. The support of the founders is really substantial in the daily operation of the center, in fulfillment of the project liabilities, but also later on to provide the sustainability of the project results of the project output. We have just explained clear what is ahead of them, which are going to be the benefits, the output, and their liabilities. Out of 35 of them, 34 have accepted the participation. They have all just compiled the application, and now Carnet is in the process of signing the agreement with them. These are so-called tripartite agreements which are going to be signed by their founders, so additionally to commit for the support to be granted to the centers during this project. The project is going to be implemented in 4 activities. The first element is just usually project management, in which besides just involving the institutions, we have administration, finances, contracts, cooperation, public procurement, the other interesting issues. Emphasis. The element of furnishing, equipping is going to be done by institutions related to these activities. We have just allocated at maximum 60% of the funds of the project. Here are all the funds of the activities of the categorization, the catalog, just the questioning and the identification of the status of the needs, the process of the public procurement, supply, delivery of the equipment, calibration, and insurance of the equipment. The major part of the expert activities is going to be done by our Croatian partners. Education is going to deal with the soft part of the story, and educational staff is going to be educated for the use and for the selection of the assistive technologies in the several ways, through one initial workshop common, through several workshops organized in each center, through the regional workshop, but also in the online forms of the education. The teams of the Croatian partners are going just to implement all these activities. They already now drawing the organizational plan and the content which is going to be implemented. The representatives of the institutions are also going to attend the short training at the Iceland, organized by our partner from Iceland, and they will provide them great help and support. Besides, logically, this educational, there are motivational activities as well. The element of visibility we consider to be equally important because the activities in the visibility are going to contribute to disseminate the idea about the project and also about the use and the benefit of the financial mechanisms from the European economic area. Several events already scheduled, the special program parts at the Carnet user conferences, informational and promotional contents and material, the campaign, the social media campaigns, we shall make the project film short, we shall make the TV advertising, and we shall broadcast it, and we shall also make the educational game. Besides the promotion of the project and the mechanisms in these activities, we also want to raise the awareness of the public about the importance of this type of the education. I think that my time is off. Just very short, I would like to say that we are really going to do the best in order to obtain all the indicators of success which we have just set us and the objectives that we have set as well, and that is to contribute to the improvement of the education of the children with disabilities, to provide the access to the assistive technology. And I also use this opportunity on behalf of Carnet, thank to the donor countries, to the Iceland, Liechtenstein and Norway, and to the Croatian Ministry for the great support provided during the project preparation and in the implementation and in recognizing, appreciating the value of the project. Thanks a lot.
Hvala vam lijepa, gospođa Renata.
Thank you very much, Ms. Renata. So we continue with our next presenter is Stella Arneri, Director of the Directorate for European Territorial Cooperation of the Ministry of Regional Development and European Funds. Thank you very much. My name is Stella Arneri. I'm the Director of the Directorate for European Territorial Cooperation, and on behalf of the operator for the program Climate and Energy and Climate Change, I also work on this program. So the purpose of the program is to improve energy efficiency, and we expect two final results: that the increased energy efficiency and increased production of energy from renewable energy resources. In the areas which are the program focus of the Republic of Croatia, these are renewable energy resources, sun, geothermal and marine energy, energy efficiency, energy safety, reduction of the effects of climate changes and adaptation to climate changes. As far as the management structure of the program is concerned, program operator is the Directorate for European Territorial Cooperation of the Ministry. Program operator is in charge of the preparation, management, control, implementation and promotion. Our program partner is the Energy Institute Hrvoj Požar, which is in charge of technical and professional support. Donating partner at the program is the Norwegian Water Resources and Energy Directorate, which is in charge for the monitoring of program implementation. National focal point in the Ministry of Regional Development and EU funds is the Directorate for Strategic Planning and Coordination of EU funds. There are a number of relevant documents. I would like to note only two documents which form the legal basis. The first one is the Memorandum of Understanding on Implementation of Financial Mechanisms signed between Iceland, Liechtenstein, Norway and Republic of Croatia in 2018. And the second document is the program understanding or program agreement for the program Energy and Climate Change from December 2020, which defines the roles and responsibilities of each beneficiary and partner of the program. The full budget of the program is 20 million euro. Each project which will be implemented in the framework of this program has to contribute to program objectives. That is production of energy from renewable resources, and two direct results, that to install the capacities and to strengthen the capacities. Indicators and goals are listed on this slide. Each project has to contribute to these indicators, which have to be clearly defined, measurable, successful in performance, and there is also a reporting obligation on achieving the indicators during the project and after the implementation. All these indicators, which we will strive to, are energy efficiency, use of renewable energy resources, and strengthening of bilateral cooperation between project partners, between Republic of Croatia and donor countries. With this program, we also have one predefined project, that's the establishing of National Training Center for nearly zero energy buildings. The project operator is Energy Institute Hrvoje Požar, and the project partner is the Faculty of Civil Engineering of the University of Zagreb. The total value of the project is 1.6 million euro, which started in May 2021 and now is in the initial phase of implementation. Something more about the project will be presented by the director of the Energy Institute, Hrvoje Požar. And we hope that the general goal of the project is to improve the knowledge and raise awareness between all beneficiaries which are involved in energy efficiency in civil engineering and construction. We have planned 4 open calls for proposals in 4 areas: marine energy, increased capacity for the production of solar energy, increased capacity for production of geothermal energy, and the development of technical documentation for the use of geothermal energy. And we also have 2 open calls for proposals of low value. That's the development of database of shallow geothermal energy and development of database for deep geothermal energy. What we are especially proud of is that last week we published 3 out of 6 planned calls for proposals. That's the increase of capacity for production of solar energy with total value of 7.4 million euro. What we can say is that we support projects which implement pilot projects for integrated photovoltaic power plants, which have to be connected to the power network. And they also have to include additional value of installation. So this is one of the requirements. So this is the basic description of the first call for proposal. The second one, production of marine energy in the value of 1.53 million euros, supports pilot project and pre-investment studies for installation of seawater source heat pumps. The aim is to provide support to the beneficiaries who will install such systems, and we will also analyze the possibilities to replace the traditional energy sources in coastal areas. Successful projects will increase the capacities and will also contribute to lower costs by installing of seawater source heat pumps. The third call for proposals is in the area of preparing technical documentation for the use of geothermal energy in the total value of 3 million euro, which will finance production development of technical documentation for the purpose of development of projects using geothermal energy. Geothermal potential of the Republic of Croatia can be divided into two areas and territories, and most geothermal sources have the scope of temperature from 50 to 120 degrees Celsius, which allows for using this geothermal energy for heating. But because of the territorial location of the sources, geothermal energy will be, of course, viable to be used only in the vicinity of these sources. The amount of the minimal and maximum grant per project is 20,000 euros to 1.3 million euro. The percentage of co-financing the project from EEA is up to 85%. Duration of the project is from 12 to 24 months. And the costs will be eligible up to the final date in 2024. There is a large scope of eligibility of appliers. Eligible is every company, private or public institution, commercial, for-profit or non-for-profit organization or NGO, which is established as a legal entity in the Republic of Croatia. And eligible partners are also every legal entity, public or private, or NGO established as legal person in donating countries. And all the information and documentation for the proposals is available on this website. What we have planned for the future, because the calls are so popular, we are planning a couple of informational workshops which will be held in a hybrid form, meaning on a physical site and also online. And we plan to organize a matchmaking event for potential project partners. The next calls, which we plan to publish by the end of 2021, is increasing capacities for the production of geothermal energy in the value of almost 5 million euros, and then the two small grant call for proposals, database development for shallow and deep geothermal energy. All the information are available on the ministry website. And I would like to use this occasion to thank my wonderful team who worked so hard to prepare all these calls in such a short period of time. And this would not be possible without the strong support that we received from our project partner and from all the participants in the donor countries, which have been supporting us and strengthening us from during this whole period. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Stella, for your presentation about the support on how to use the renewable energy sources. We continue with the energy. I believe that the energy efficiency is definitely a topic which is so crucially important and interesting for all of us, either privately or officially. And now we have the gentleman from the director of the Energy Institute, Hrvoje Požar, Mr. Dražen Jakšić. Thanks for the introduction. Good morning, everybody. Your distinguished ambassador, the state secretary, ladies and gentlemen, I'm particularly pleased that we are here today in Split, in my native town, where I always like to come back, at least for the presentation of this project, since the director has already presented. We in the Institute, Hrvoje Požar, also the program partner for the implementation of the entire program of the energy and climatic changes as well. We are the beneficiary of the funds within the project, which in this component of the energy efficiency is being implemented in our institute. And this is the establishment of the National Training Center for nearly zero energy building. The contract has already been signed on the 8th of June this year. The implementation of the program from the May 7, 2000 until April 30, 2024. The Energy Institute, Hrvoje Požar, has available €1,600,000 for the implementation of this project. And besides us, we also have the partner, which is the civil engineering faculty of the university in Zagreb. It was the starting point and why we have just created this program. That is the very poor energy elements of the constructions in Croatia. We know that this NZEB has analyzed the energy building and that all new buildings which are being built in the Republic of Croatia from the end of the last year must be built according to NZEB standards. What we consider really the great challenge is the transformation of the existing fund of the buildings, which are really of the poor quality, and particularly I would like to emphasize here the public buildings in the Republic of Croatia, which still are not applied through the NZEB standard. The aim of our project is just to improve the knowledge of all the stakeholders in this process in the, let's say, renewal of the buildings according to this NZEB standard. We are going to try to show it through the establishment of the training center, but also through the pilot project of the renewal recovery of our building, that is the building of the Energy Institute Hrvoje Požar in Zagreb, which is going really to be subjected to one renewal, really deep and also seismic. We know that due to the last year's earthquake in the city of Zagreb and in the other parts of Croatia, in Sisak and around, we really have also the problem about the seismic stability of the building. The main objectives are the strengthening of the cooperation between practically the Energy Institute Hrvoje Požar and Nordic countries, particularly the Kingdom of Norway. Through the project, we are going to establish also the cooperation with the Technical University, NTU, and the Research Center Syntec. We shall also try to transfer the knowledge and experiences of Nordic countries in building NZEB buildings. And the last specific objective, that is to create local partnerships and improve the knowledge and raising awareness about NZEB and Z standards. This is some kind of the vision, long-term vision, which involves partly the implementation of this project, but also we have given much attention to create and to design how the project should have really the long-term benefit And to become this concept something that is going to be developed further on. Our building was built in 1975. That was just like the commercial business building, which was then built for the bank. It has the offices, office premises, and today it should be the Energy F classification according to contemporary standards. The first energy renewal was done when Institute has taken over this building or moved into the building. That was in 2001. Today it should be the energy classification C. What we try to obtain and renew during this project in the coming period, through the next 2 years, that is to renew the building, practically to renew its facade, which is going to be green and recycled with much better energy features and with lower losses. We also want to provide the heating and the cooling for the geothermal heat pump through the sub-water springs underground. On the top shall be the photovoltaic plant for the energy production. We shall have the battery, let's say, containers, and we shall generate also electromobility. We shall have also the chargers, rechargers in the yard of our building for the electric vehicles. As well, we shall make the full digitalization of all the systems which one business building should have, from the fire alarm system and all the other smoke detector. We shall also establish the mechanical resistance and stability, which is the special feature and particularly important after the earthquakes which have struck this area. We also expect that our building is going to be the first great public building in the Republic of Croatia, which is going to be renewed in such a comprehensive way according to NZEB standard, and that's why it's going to be the true role model on how these projects can further be replicated to the other public and other buildings in the Republic of Croatia. One of the other activities within the project is also the consideration of the concept of the nearly zero energy neighborhood. So let's consider it. We shall start with the analysis of the district around our building of the Institute in Zagreb, that is between the streets Veslačka, Savska and Prisavlje. This is kind of the triangle where we shall consider how the whole this city district might become the district with the zero consumption of energy, and logically also with the zero CO2 emissions in the environment, and with the vision of future of the establishment of the smart city without emissions. Zagreb, and not only Zagreb, but the replication to all the other local administration units. These are some of the specific objectives which are set in the project. So that is the NZEB Training Center, where we have to educate the attendees who are just dealing with the energy sector in the building construction, so that they can definitely use NZEB standard primarily, we say, in the renewal of the existing buildings, and improve their knowledge and competence in the field of the deep renewal of the building compliant with NZEB standard. What we have also emphasized as substantial, Nordic countries are so advanced in constructing the low energy buildings and houses due to their climatic characteristics, and also due to much better life standard. So that through this project we shall just try to transfer their specific knowledge and experiences and implement in the Republic of Croatia, and thereby create the educational programs, the program of education of our participants in the training center, and establish the local strategic partnerships in order for the project to be sustainable in the long run, so that the consequences of the project should be have the permanent feature, and through this pilot could also be replicated in some way to the other buildings as well. The project itself has 4 groups of activities. I'm not going to provide the details. That is the project management and the horizontal activity, which practically is present in the overall project. We are already in the implementation of the second phase, that is the analysis of the current status, where we make the energy inspections, the feasibility studies. We modulate the existing condition of the building. We are working on the seismic analysis and modeling of construction of the strengthening of the building, building and the drawing of the main project, main design. We expect that in the first quarter of the year 2002, it is going to be ready. After that follows the process of public procurement for the works on the renewal of the building. The construction works we think they are going to last 1 year. That is somewhere from July of the next year until the end of June 2023, and the introduction of the system of electromobility in our building. Parallel with this, we also have the establishment of the training center according to the education material, through the expert visits to Norway, through the development of the concept of training itself, and what I have already mentioned before, the development of the concept of nearly zero energy building for neighborhood. And then we have the elaboration of the educational material, and finally implementation of training and establishment of thematic partnerships. I would like to say that the overall project of the establishment of the National Training Center is compliant with the European policies, particularly through European Green Plan and the renovation wave, that it is also built in or just is rooted in the national strategies, green and digital transition of the Republic of Croatia. It is going to be a role model of this green and digital transition. So on the like the best case of the one public building, which is also compliant with the long-term strategy of the renewal of the building fund in order to provide for the decarbonization for the sector of construction of the buildings, which we know that in the consumption of energy and in CO2 emissions it contributes so much and so high to the total emissions of CO2 in the Republic of Croatia. And in such a way, we would like to contribute to the overall objectives of energy and climatic reduction of climatic impact and energy transition, which is the part of the strategy of the Republic of Croatia. Logically, the project is also compliant with the objectives of the energy renewal. This time, that is on the level of the city of Zagreb, which is also in the process of the energy renewal and the renewal after the earthquake, where these technologies are so important to use them. In fact, to use this renewal as the opportunity for it, the renewal not to be only the seismic but also digital and should be also energy efficient. We also wait and look forward to the other local administration units, hoping that they are going to evolve through the partnerships, which are also one of the objectives of this project. Thanks for the attention, and that was all on my side.
Hvala vam lijepa.
Thanks a lot. And now may I all kindly invite you to the coffee break. It is already outside here. And
Your Excellency, Mr. Hakan Blankenborg, would you be so kind to join us for the press conference next door? I gospodin Šime Erlić, naš državni tajnik u Ministarstvu regionalnog razvoja i fonda Europske unije.
Šime Erlić is also kindly asked to join us for the press conference. 20 minutes break, enjoying the nice weather.
S izletom. Ladies and gentlemen, if I may invite you in, please join us back in our conference room. We would like to continue. Hvala vam lijepa. Nastavljamo s gospodinom Ivanom Lakošom, gospodin načelnik sektora za strateški razvoj.
With the next presentation, which will be given by Ivan Lakoš, Head of Sector for Strategic Development and Projects from the Ministry of Justice and Public Administration. Dear guests, Your Excellence, I would like to greet all the officials and the guests, all the members of the management structure of this financial mechanism, and all of you who are included in this program. It is nice to be here in Split, the most beautiful town in Croatia after Zadar and Šibenik. So on behalf of the Ministry of Justice and Public Administration, I will present program Justice and Home Affairs, what we do as part of this financial mechanism. The main challenges that we are facing is the obsolete judicial infrastructure, inefficient judicial performance evaluation, and underdeveloped court conciliation system. And also investment into probation system. This is the overview of the program. The grant, the amount of the grant is 13 million euro. With national co-financing in the amount of 2.29 million euro. The program operator in the Ministry of Judiciary and Public Administration. The donor partner is the Norwegian Judicial Administration. International Partnership Organization is the Council of Europe, and the program areas is the efficiency of judicial system, strengthening of the rule of law, and prison services and custody. Within the program, we have 4 projects. The largest project is the renovation of municipal court building in Split. This is the project which combines the investment into infrastructure and has some soft measures, such as promotion of e-services, which are very important for efficient functioning of judicial system. And in terms of infrastructure investment, the aim is how to provide the space for judicial officials to do their job as a high level of quality as possible, more efficient and more accessible to the citizens. First component renovation of municipal court. At the moment, the court is functioning at 2 locations. Very difficult access to the building on the outskirts of Split because of the poor transport connections, very poor working conditions, and large expenses because the court works at 2 locations. The expected results are better and safer working conditions for the court administration and larger efficiency to the benefit of the citizens, and also easier access for persons with disabilities. The second component is promotion of e-services. We will analyze the use of judicial e-services, and we will develop recommendations for improvement of existing and implementing new e-services with promotional campaign for judicial e-services, and organize a conference on using e-services in judicial system. We will use the results to plan and design the IT system and services infrastructure for the purpose of all the objectives that I have mentioned before. The third component is the secondment of judges of ECHR. We have provided for free secondment at the European Court for Human Rights in Strasbourg. The judges will gain experience working on the ECHR cases with professional monitoring and mentoring, with the aim of increasing efficiency of judicial system through improving competences of the judges. Partner is the Council of Europe. Next, we have a pre-development project 2, which is the strengthening of protection of human rights and public security through advancement of capacities of probation services. I have to say that the probation service is active for a number of years here in Croatia. This year we will also organize a conference. It's a very important service, and I think we have set up a good basis for this service. The project promoter is the Directorate for Prison System and Probation. Our project partner is the Norwegian Probation Service, and the amount of the grant is 2.1 million euro. Duration of the implementation is 36 months, which started in June 2020. Project components are introducing electronic monitoring systems, bracelets, which are currently in a supply procedure. And this will be organized as a pilot project. Then we have advancement of material and technical conditions of the work of probation services, advancing of tools for implementation of correctional measures and penalties, and strengthening of cooperation between the prison system and probation system. The next project is to revise the methodology of judicial performance evaluation. The project promoter is the Directorate for Judicial Organization. Norwegian Judicial Administration is our donor project partner. The amount of the grant is 400,000 euros, and the duration of the project is 18 months, during which we will analyze the existing system, make a comparative analysis, evaluating the work of Croatian judges and compare it with the work of Spanish, German, and Finnish judges, and also prepare recommendations for advancement of methodology for judicial performance review. And we will use the recommendations and focus on the measures which will increase the efficiency of their work, and also analyze the level of satisfaction of the users of the judicial system. The final project, pre-development project 4, is the improvement of court conciliation system. Project promoter is the Administration for Civil, Commercial and Administrative Law. The Norwegian Judicial Administration is our donor project partner. The amount of the grant is 1.5 million euro. The court conciliation is already implemented in Croatia. We tried a couple of times with different amendments to the legislation, and I believe that within this project, we will establish 4 centers for court conciliation in Croatia, with one large center in Zagreb. And we hope that with the changes in the legislation, we will try to promote the use of this court conciliation system. And in this way, we will unburden the court system. So project components are the analysis of the existing court conciliation system, sociological legal analysis of the reasons why court conciliation is not used enough, development of the manual for court conciliation, and education and training of the staff. I would like to thank everybody once again, to the donors, to all the people who are included in the implementation. What we are looking forward to the future is in the upcoming mechanism. We hope that we will make strategic decisions on new investment in the judiciary sector. Thank you very much.
Thanks so much, Mr. Lakash, for your presentation. And now we have 2 ladies who are going to show us something about the support to the sustainable growth in Croatian business sector. They are going to present us Business Development and Innovation Program Croatia. These are 2 ladies from Innovation Norway, Barbara Stipanovic and Egli Ilic. Good morning, everybody. I'm Barbara Stipanovic, and today I'm going to tell you something, a few things about the Innovation Norway and about our program in Croatia. Just for the beginning, many of you have heard, and maybe some of you haven't heard, for the Innovation Norway. It is the public-private organization which was established by the Norwegian government, by the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, and that is some kind of one-stop shop, and as they feel like calling it the most important instrument of the Norwegian government for the development and innovation of the Norwegian companies and industry in Croatia. It will be some kind, the alternative to the Croatian Chamber of Economy, with the international character of the Croatian tourist boards and with the possibility of providing the loans like HABOR and HAMAG. Innovation Norway is present at more than 23 international markets, and it has offices throughout the world, practically at 23 international markets, as you can see here at this map. Totally, it has more than 700 employees, and its role is in the implementation. Exactly regarding the EEA funds and Norwegian funds, they implement the business development, innovation and SME program in 10 countries of the European Union. In some countries, Innovation Norway is partner. In some, it is exactly the project operator, the program operator. One of these countries are Croatia, Greece, Romania, and Bulgaria. So that our director, Annalisa Rognila Delen, she's in charge for Greece and Croatia, but really she has a very rich experience of working in EEA funds because she has been working in Romania and Bulgaria in 2008. As already mentioned, in Croatia, the Innovation Norway is in charge to manage and to operate the fund within the program Innovation, Research, Education and Competitiveness, or so-called Business Development and Innovation Croatia program. The main objective of this program is to increase the creation of value and sustainable development in Croatian business sector, and somehow the realization of the long-term cooperation between Norwegian and Croatian companies based on business development and innovations within this program. We have available more than 19 million euros, somewhat more, and it was intended for the first goal, which was published in last year, 2020. 2 main focus areas are green industry innovation, or let's say greening of the industry, and blue growth, or better to say the investment in blue industries, maritime culture, aquaculture, everything related not only with the sea but also with the other flows like rivers and lakes, other water flows. Here is the kind of the review of the first goal that we are so proud of, because it has really reached the high success, particularly because of the fact that this goal was published in the very heart of the pandemics, and nobody has known how this pandemic is going to end, how it will reflect to the economy. And we had really the great number of the interested applicants, interested companies, I have to admit, even much more than we had in Greece, in Bulgaria and Romania, just comparing with the size of the country and the number of inhabitants. This is, for example, in Greece, which has twice as much inhabitants and larger. We had 35 projects and we had 54 applied projects plus one. This one project refers to already predefined project of the Croatian Chamber of Economy, which is our partner in this fund and the partner which helps us in promotion. And he has already predefined project of the strengthening of capacities. Otherwise, Croatian Chamber of Economy has really helped us so much in the last year when we have been promoting this goal. We had more than 6 workshops and more than 200 persons attended these workshops as well. It was really the great interest. That's why we are really looking forward to announce the second call or the new call, which is going to be discussed in details by the colleague Egli. After we have had the period of the evaluation, which lasted from 6 to 9 months, we have selected 21 projects. Unfortunately, 2 projects, 2 applicants have withdrawn, so we are going to have in the implementation 19 projects, plus this one already predefined by Croatian Chamber of Economy, already mentioned. So we have 19 Croatian applicants, but practically these are 35 companies or 19 applicants with 16 partners. And out of the 16 partners, we are so pleased that we have 8 Norwegian partners. These are some are companies and some are just public research institutions, like already mentioned, SINTEF, Morforsking, and some others. The colleagues from Norway are bouncing, they already know what it refers to. This program is intended for the small, medium, and large enterprises. Of course, the emphasis is always on SME companies, but also are eligible large companies, so that we have 4 projects which are approved for large companies, 12 for small companies, and 3 for medium companies. In blue growth model, we have 9 projects, and in green industry innovation, we have 11 projects. And let's resume this slide. It has been approved a little bit more than 7 million grants of grants, which has generated somewhat more than 14 million euro of investment. If you have noticed at the former slide, we have had 19 million available. Here is approved 7 million euro grant, which means that we still have somewhat more than 11 million euro, 12 for the next call. And these are some of the expected results which are going to be realized, we hope, until 2024 by the successful implementation of these projects. Before we start to talk about these expected results of this first call, as you can see, this is the map of our projects throughout Croatia. Zagreb logically leads in all the investments, but we are also very proud that Istria and Kvarner are not much behind, and we really have some excellent projects in Dalmatia. Unfortunately, the north of Croatia and the east of Croatia are somewhat behind, although this is the great potential, particularly considering the investment into the processing industry and like the greening of this industry. And we really invite all the stakeholders to try to involve the companies from Slavonia and from the northern Croatia, because they really have the potential. And there are so many opportunities, which is a pity not to use. Out of these 20 projects, which I have mentioned, we had 8 investment projects. These are mostly the so-called green projects, 12 research and development projects, which are the investments in new blue technologies, although we have some research and development, which are also the investments in new green technologies. Until 2024, we expect that new jobs will be opened, 93, that 13 intellectual property will be protected, And it is important, this component of the sustainability, so that the CO2 emissions are going to be decreased for 10,000 tons. And the use of the electrical energy is going to be decreased for 97,000 megawatts. As well, within these projects will be again used or recycled the material in the value of 1,000 tons. We are also pleased on this below data. It sounds, but the companies expect very high growth of income and of the profit from this program. So this is not the summary. This is the most frequent value of all these projects regarding these obligatory indicators, and that is that per company it is going to rise 107% their income and 147% their profit. I'm looking forward to the continuation of this program, and the colleague Egli is going to tell us something more about the other part of our activities. And that is the second call. Good morning, everybody. I'm Egli Ilic on behalf of the Innovation Norway. As Barbara has already introduced, I'm going to tell you something more about the second call. Barbara has already mentioned that we, in the first call, had, within all rural program, we had approximately 19 million euro available, but we contracted somewhat around 7 million euro. So approximately we have still available 12 million euro, which is available for the second call. And if we take into consideration that in the first call, the average value of the grant, which we approved, amounted to 260,000 euro, now we have available the money for approximately 33 new projects. So we can support 33 new entrepreneurship ideas, which definitely are going to generate new jobs, new employment, new works, and strengthen the competitiveness of Croatian economy, decrease the greenhouse gases emissions, which is definitely the focus of our program. We already in the next month, we shall start with the publication of the new call. It is going to be open in duration of 90 days, so that the interested parties will have enough time available to prepare with a high quality the application, project application within the Innovation Norway. We are definitely going to be the great support to the potential applicants, because immediately after publishing the call, we start with the promotional workshops, which we plan to organize and to hold in several cities throughout Croatia. We plan that we shall hold 6 to 7 workshops in different cities of Croatia, and we plan to cover the entire Croatia, so the continental and the Adriatic part of Croatia. And here the great support, like at the first call, is going to be provided by Croatian Chamber of Economy, which is our partner in this project. It is important and essential to mention that, unfortunately, the applicants who are going to apply for this second call will have somewhat less time for the implementation of their projects, considering that our program lasts until April 30, 2024, and until then, logically, all the projects must be completed and accomplished in full. Some topics have already been mentioned by Barbara in the first part of her lecture regarding the call. The conditions for the second call are practically identical to those that applied in the first call. So the eligible applicants are small, medium, and large enterprises. However, for large enterprises, there is one restriction. So the public ownership must be at maximum up to 20%. In the first call, we have had the small and micro and the medium and the large enterprises Our program is open also for the startups, but there is the restriction with the startups. Startups must be registered at least for 1 year before the publication of the call in order to be able to apply for our second call. In this case, logically, they do not have available the major sums of the grant which we approve, but they can apply up to maximum 200,000 euro, but the companies which have been operating for a longer time can apply even up to at maximum 1,500,000 euro. Which are, let's say, eligible types of projects? As Barbara has mentioned, these are the investments and research and development projects. What does it mean, investment projects? These are primarily intended to the production companies, and they mean the investment for some purchase of the investment equipment, modernization. They imply the procurement of the new machine, which to the applicants will provide the possibility of production of a new product, which until now they have not been producing. Research and development projects mean the investment in or development into the new product, which still does not exist at the market. So it is not enough for something to be the new product for the company. There must be new product at the market, so generally. But it also has to be mentioned that this our program does not motivate the fundamental researches, base researches, and industrial development. We finance solely experimental development, which means that the product, it is not enough for the product to exist as the idea. It must be, the product must have already had been subject to the laboratory research, or at least the major part of the laboratory research and testing. And what we, through Research and Development Fund, that is the testing of the product on the optimization in the market conditions. As Barbara has already mentioned in her first part, the focus areas are blue growth, industry innovation, or the investment into the clean technology, the technology which is going to result into the reduction of the greenhouse gases, in the savings of the resources, or generally the technology which is positive for the environment, so eco-friendly technology. Maybe just to indicate several illustrations of the good projects which we have supported in the first call, which we are very proud of. Let's mention one production company from Varaždin. I can even mention it. It is Vis Promotex. So that is the production company which produces promotional sun umbrellas. For the production of the sun umbrellas, they use the raw material from China, and in the production, they create huge quantities of waste. It creates huge problems for them, for the, let's say, storage of the waste, and finally, at the end, in order to resolve this huge quantity of the waste, they should have to burn it out. They have come to the idea that this waste could be recycled and reused again in their production, which of course resolves the problem of the storage and reduces their costs, and presents also they make the great favor to the environment. So that is one really eco-friendly project, and we think that this is the major project which we have approved until now. Something which is probably more interesting for the entrepreneurs, probably there are no here in the hall, but these are definitely the rates of the co-funding. When talking about the investment projects, in the case when it is the continental region, so basic rate of funding is 25%, and in the Adriatic region, which is also split Istria, Dalmatia, and so on, it is 35% co-funding. The bonus which is added to it for the small companies is 20%, for medium 10%. So that in case that of the Article 13 or 14, which means the replacement of the equipment, the maximum percent is 35 or 45%. In case of investment in the environmental protection, which is above the standards prescribed in the European Union, can be used the Article 36, which is this example of this Promotex, which I have mentioned before. So then is applied the Article 36, where the base rate of co-funding is 40%, and if the bonus should be added to it for the small or medium companies, the maximum rate of co-funding which we can support is 60%, that is 40 plus 20 for the small company. In case of research development projects, as already mentioned before, the only thing which we can fund, that is the experimental development, that is the base rate of co-funding is 25%. And if we add a bonus for small or medium companies, which is 20 or 30, so it comes to 45 or 35%, up to the maximum 45%, but we also approved the additional bonus for the efficient partnership. Efficient partnership implies that there are at least 2 partners, out of which minimally 1 is small or medium company, and that this is really the true partnership, meaning that the project cannot be implemented without both of the partners, and not that the partner is only the partner in the implementation or in the promotional or in the project management. In this case, can be approved additional 15%. So thereby the maximum rate which we can support in funding, co-funding, can be 60%. In the first call, to all the projects that were entitled to the bonuses, we assigned bonuses, so that we have really approved the maximum what was available to us, what we were allowed according to the project grants criteria. As Barbara has already mentioned in her first part of the lecture, the competitors in the first was really great. There were 54 plus 1 project, which shows the great interest of the economic subjects for our projects. And that was our first goal. Now already the businessmen know us, they know how we function, they know for us, they know for our program, and we expect that the number of competitors is going to increase. We expect exceptionally good projects, because in the first call there were really exceptionally good projects, highly positive, so that Barbara and me are going to have really a lot of work. We are going to be so much committed together with our director Annalise, but we are looking forward to this, and we are pleased for every success of our applicants, and it's going to be really a challenging period ahead of us.
We will continue with Innovation Norway. I would like you to welcome Mrs. Annelise Rognlidalen, Director of the Zagreb Office of Innovation Norway.
Okay, good morning, Ambassador, State Secretaries, maybe still here, I'm not sure. Ladies and gentlemen, and dear colleagues, my name is Annelise Rognlidalen, and I am representing Innovation Norway, and also I'm the legal representative of Innovation Norway's office in Zagreb. So thank you to my 2 colleagues, Barbara and Egli, for an excellent presentation of the status of the Business Development and Innovation Croatia program. It was really great. So I also think that Barbara presented Innovation Norway a little bit, so I will not repeat that. Thank you. Today I will actually say a few words about the Social Dialogue and Decent Work program, which is also operated by Innovation Norway. So this program is a very small but very important program. It aims to improve the dialogue between the employers' organization, trade unions, and public authorities, the so-called tripartite dialogue. So the tripartite dialogue, or social dialogue, plays an important role in the promotion of fair and decent working conditions, job creation, inclusive growth, and competitiveness. And Norway has a strong social dialogue tradition, and the tripartite model is considered one of the major factors for socioeconomic growth in Norway since many decades. Therefore, sharing best practices between Croatian applicants and Norwegian partners could have been or is a bilateral opportunity in this program. Let's see. So where should I point? On the right. Right. Thank you. So the Norwegian financial mechanism is financing the social dialogue and decent work program in 12 countries, 12 beneficiary countries in Europe, with a total allocation of more than 10 million euros. So for Croatia, the available budget is 452,000 euros. So it's really a small but important program. The program has two objectives, or two outcomes, which is the short and medium-term expected result from the implementation of the program. And the outcomes have been selected, defined, based on common challenges in the 10 beneficiary states, including Croatia. And the first outcome is related to improved social dialogue and cooperation. And topics are typically related to improve the capacity for the dialogue between the partners, and also to set up new structures or to improve the structures for social dialogue, and to build more trust between the partners. The other outcome is focusing on actually implementing fair and decent work conditions in companies. So this is typically, we would like to see work-life balance, gender equality, and health and safety issues implemented at the workplace. Based on 2 calls organized in Croatia, 5 projects have been selected. And the eligible applicants for this social dialogue decent work program are those involved in the tripartite dialogue, but business associations, etc., they could also be partners, project partners. These, 5 projects supported, 448,000 euros have been used for after these 2 calls. And this is a list of the projects supported in Croatia. And as you can see, most of the projects, they have a budget of approximately close to 100,000 euros, which was the maximum grant available per project. And the grant rate is 90%. Of the total approved budget, which means that the rest of the 10% is financed by the applicants themselves as part of their man-hour contribution. I will not try to pronounce these names. Some of them sound really difficult. But as you can see, there are projects related to social dialogue and the tripartite dialogue in the metal industry, the railway sector, and also the public sector. One project is also focusing on prevention on workplace violence and harassment. And the last project financed is implemented by the Croatian Employers Association, and they also have a Norwegian partner, and they will develop principles for the employees and employers' rights for teleworking, which is very relevant these days. So these projects typically include roundtable meetings, study trips, and other meetings, but due to COVID situation, these have been, in most cases, replaced by online dialogue and meetings. However, these 5 projects are now well under implementation. Innovation Norway has also disbursed quite a lot of funds to these 5 projects already. So that, I think, was all I wanted to say about this small but very important program. And within a year or something, I look forward to present the result of these 5 projects. And hopefully it will be 5 very good projects who can illustrate what can be done within the social dialogue and decent work program. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. So that was our
Hvala.
second presentation from Innovation Norway. And our last speakers today before lunch, so please stay and join us for lunch. The last speakers, posljednji govornici su Branka Kaselj i Marina Škrabalo.
The ladies are representatives of the Active Citizens Fund in Croatia, and their topic are the objectives and achievements in the development of civil society and active citizenship in the Republic of Croatia. Good morning, everybody. Now we are at the end. We hope that you're going to have some more patience to listen to us. Also, our program has started long ago, and we have started practically immediately in January 2020. And we have been maybe one of the rare ones who have managed also to organize the launch event in person. And before we have all just been subject to the lockdown, I'm so exceptionally pleased to be here in person with all of you, particularly to see and to welcome here the representatives of the donor countries, thanks to which we also are here today, and I believe to the great joy and pleasure of all the participants and all the beneficiaries of all the projects which are already contracted or are going to be further contracted through this financial mechanism. Allow me just only in short to present who we are, Branka Kaselj and Marina Škrabalo. We are I'm from the Trust Slagalica, like the puzzle. We are also the lead partner. We are just the operator of the fund. Together with the members of our consortium, the Foundation Solidary, the Association SMART, and we also have the Slovenian partner, a very experienced organization, who also works in the strengthening of the capacities of the civil sector. They are also the program fund operator for Slovenia. We are so important for us, this distribution of the consortium, because somehow we cover also this regional component, and we support the regional, let's say, coverage through this our fund. The objectives of this program are quite similar to the objectives of all the other programs. We have just the common funds, as somebody has already told, the strengthened civil society for our specific part, and the active citizenship and strengthening and the support to the vulnerable groups. The major priority of the program is the strengthening of cooperation between civil society organizations and the donor countries, organizations from donor countries. The special emphasis of the fund is the long-term sustainable development and capacity building of the non-profit sector. I shall immediately start with the expected outcome. Save for these already set up, like the increase of the bilateral cooperation and the lobbying for this, which in this realization until now has been very successful. We are going to show to you there are three highly important expected outcomes. That is the watchdog role of civil society, increased support to human rights, and strengthen democratic culture, citizens' awareness and engagement, the commitment of the citizens. All these outputs are resulted through the process of the consultations with the key stakeholders and the previous estimations of the needs in the Republic of Croatia. Logically, we have this important component, which is the strengthening of the regional cooperation in the civil society sector. Logically, as all the other countries which implement the fund for the active citizenship, here we have specific national challenges, and they are all listed here. I'm not going to read them all and mention them all. Just let's say that one of the major is definitely just the strengthening of the civil societies in the less developed areas and those which work with specific vulnerable groups. Logically, here the special emphasis is on these two horizontal objectives, which are the strengthening of the intercultural dialogue with the, let's say, emphasis on the national minorities and promotion of the initiatives directed to intergenerational cooperation and solidarity. Let me provide some statistical data or figures in the sense of the results obtained, and Marina after me is going to tell us something more about the content of the results. I think that the lunch is already served. So after this first year of the realization, as you can see, We have realized already some 44% of the available fund is already contracted, and maybe I have missed to say, and it's very important, that we have available for these 4 years in total 8.5 million euro. And as you can see, until now, we have already contracted more than 3 million euros. Some projects are already in the full phase of implementation. Some have only started, and we have some projects which have already been accomplished. As you can see, the great number of the applied applicants, which shows the great interest, as we have heard from all the previous speakers. So that is really the great need and the great interest in the Republic of Croatia for all the forms of the support which are contracted here within these financial mechanisms. Besides this, it is also important to say that we have somehow put the emphasis on the complete support to the civil society in the sense of strengthening their capacities. That's why we have here already the numerous hours of consultations already done, and the great number of different workshops which we have organized. So the complete system of support is fully operational, which is going to be even more active when all the programs should be contracted and when our project promoters or our beneficiaries would need this support, project support, even more. Just a short review of the accomplishments reached until now. The previous slide was only for this first year of the realization. This is for the year and a half of the realization, where it can be seen even major difference in the numbers, because in these 6 months also the huge number of projects has been contracted. From totally planned 6 calls, we have realized already 4. The calls for the medium-sized projects are going to be published on the October 1st, so that's within the call number 5. And then we have one more by the beginning of the year 2022 for the small projects, whereby we are going to satisfy everything what we have planned. And luckily, something will be also from the reserve fund, so that we shall publish another call, which is going to be directed for the organizational development capacities of the organizations which are active in the human rights and democratic activities. Not to speak much about the figures, the figures speak for themselves. It is important that we have managed to organize ourselves very fast and adjust ourselves to the new mobility, significantly increase the number of info and online workshops, so to compensate the fact that we couldn't have seen in person our, let's say, applicants. There are 2 more slides. This is only just one review for you to see the distribution of the funds per outputs. So this distribution per outputs is highly important. The emphasis is always on these first 2 outputs, that is human rights and the strengthening of the watchdog organizations. You can see that approximately within these contracted funds until now, in this sense, we are quite well ranked in the realization. As I have mentioned, that one of the horizontal and the nationally specific priorities is this harmonization in distribution of the funds, and particularly strengthening of the smaller organizations in less developed areas and those which are working with specifically vulnerable groups. So that at this graph chart, you can see the structure of the applications per counties until now, until September 1st. The city of Zagreb is ahead of all, which is not strange, because in Zagreb is the concentration of the organizations of the civil society. Organizations, particularly the major ones, but not so much behind are all the other counties, as can be seen on this presentation. Somewhat different is the situation when we talk about the structure of the contracted projects until now. Here we have the significant, let's say, advantage for the organizations in the Zagreb area, but we have to mention that not yet are contracted all the small projects, so that we shall have another cycle for the small projects. And now, as already mentioned, very soon we'll start for the new projects, where we shall have the major impact on the smaller organizations, so that we believe that until the end this chart is going to be changed, and we shall have more significant contribution for these areas which are not so well developed. We have heard in the Innovation Norway that Slavonia and the North Croatia are somewhat behind the other areas. That's why it's going to be very important for us to somehow adjust the current distribution. Bilateral cooperation, it's also an important segment and an important objective for all of us. Until now, the percentage of these contracted projects is very high to the benefit of the bilateral cooperation. So 21 out of 71 until now approved project has the bilateral partner. It is important to emphasize that the part of these partnerships is in fact the upgrade of already existing partnerships, and I would say this is only one additional value or the opportunity for the additional growth among already established partnerships, and as well the great number of the newly established partnerships, because the donor countries are exceptionally good in the fields which are so crucially important for our civil society organizations, which is gender equality, just fostering, and the digital safety. Also, I haven't mentioned, but you can see that the advantage among the partners is always to the benefit of the Norwegian organizations. There are somewhat more than from Iceland. This should be all on my side, and the colleague is going to tell something more about the content and results of the projects. And although we have to take into consideration that this is only the short period of their implementation.
Možemo jedan pljesak za Branku, našu voditeljicu. Evo, ovo je samo jedan aperitiv i znači poticaj da prosurfate po našoj stranici ACF Croatia kada ćete imati koji moment.
And this is the overview of the result of the added value that has been already generated by our project, which is used not only for the civil, for the NGOs, but for the society as a whole, because it serves as a catalyzer for the wider partnerships and enhancing the quality of life level for all our citizens. So what we have completed during the project is preparing of the first manual or teaching material for the financial and economic literacy for elementary schools, which was developed by the Institute for Development of Education in cooperation and partnership with one civil NGO. And we also have included 75 lawyers and legal experts, which completed specialist education key aspects for successful argumentation before the European Court for Human Rights. And we opened the opportunities for long-term partnerships and strengthening of the judicial capacities and the capacities of legal professionals. Through our program, we also developed one very important project, horizontal auto-regulation within the sector related to the quality of informal and extra-institutional education, which allows for higher permeability of the educational systems. Support to the Roma minority is one of the national priorities in Croatia, and we are very glad that the Association of Roma is implementing a very complex program which will be implemented for 2 years, aimed at strengthening of capacities of Roma minority in following public policies. Especially this is important because of the multiple marginalization of the Roma women. And at the moment we are working very intensively on their education and strengthening and providing them support. but also for preparing a new national plan for Roma inclusion. Through ad hoc action projects, we have an open call, which we started more intensely since the beginning of the pandemic. Every 2 weeks from last May until this June, we had preparation for project implementation, and now we already have 18 contracted projects which are involved in different issues in the society, very often at the local level. At our website, we have a complete list of these projects. Most of them are related to green transition. Then also access to health services. And we are working also on development on local and national seed banks. Then development of urban gardens. Association called RODA is very active in the areas of opening access to health services and human rights in the pandemic conditions. Also in the area of privacy issues within the framework of applying GDPR. And in Sisak, we opened the Center for Integration of Foreigners or Aliens, and the project operator in this case is the civil rights organization from Sisak. So in these conditions of the crisis and all the problems that we are faced with, we are aware that sustainability of civil society and the resilience in crisis management, what we have learned through this period of implementation of this program is that the trust is the best anchor in the crisis, in that flexible adaptation to the needs of new working processes, our position of learning. It wouldn't be possible without a very good communication with the office in Brussels and with our focal point and with our partners in Norway and Iceland, and the cooperation with the government institution, and of course the trust that our beneficiaries have in us, that we can openly talk about all the problems during implementation. We know that online work is possible. We know that now, that it can be very efficient and it can enable us better access to some locations, especially when we are talking about deep field work. But when we are talking about acquiring competences, then face-to-face work is really important and necessary. And I think that we will find models of this work in the future. One learned lesson is that our efficiency depends on how coordinated is the work of different donors participating in financing of civil society in Croatia, because everything from ESF, which is funded from this mechanism, really influences the projects which are financed from another mechanisms, especially when we are talking about the number of proposals that we receive. And I'm inviting you all that we put these thoughts into practice and find more complementarity in our work, especially in the light of new development cycle in Croatia through the Recovery and Redevelopment Fund, so that altogether we can recognize the possibilities, especially related to developing capacities of underdeveloped regions in Croatia. And we are open to further consultations and work. Thank you very much.
Thanks to you so much. This was our last speaker for today. Let me check. Yes, it's correct. Thank you so much for having stayed with us to the very end. It is really excellent to see that in spite of the fact that you are such a wonderful city, the temperature, warm weather, we are just at the middle of Riva almost, and we are all here. That's really pleasing, which says that we have done everything as we had. The excellent team of the ministry which has prepared it definitely has done all the efforts for us to be comfortable, and the Embassy of the Kingdom of Norway invites all of us for the lunch and to enjoy.